In February of 2010, 19-year-old Nikita Grenda and her boyfriend Ryan were just 2 weeks away from the arrival of their baby girl. The couple had absolutely everything ready for her arrival, and they'd even picked out her name. She was going to be called Kelsey May. They were young, but they had worked very hard for Kelsey May, Ryan securing a job in sales, and the pair moving into a flat together in Newport, South Wales. The arrival date was just round the corner, and the little family unit were excited about the rest of their lives together, until one unexpected night. Early in the morning on the 5th of February 2010, Nikita's mother received a call informing her that Nikita's flat was on fire. Tragically, Nikita was trapped inside. You see, Ryan had been out drinking that night with his friends, so heavily pregnant Nikita was inside that flat with her beloved dog Missy alone. Black smoke poured out of the building. Her parents rushed down in a panic to the flat, but by the time they got there, firefighters had already discovered Nikita's lifeless body. It was too late. She was gone. Her unborn baby girl and her dog Missy had also tragically lost their lives. But when the post-mortem was carried out, a horrifying discovery would take place. Just when Nikita's parents and boyfriend thought Nikita's tragic death couldn't get any worse, it did. You see, they were informed that Nikita's throat was slashed and she had been stabbed in a violent, frightening attack before the fire had been started. The fire had been started in an attempt to cover up any evidence. But who would do this to Nikita? This was such a shocking, violent crime. Nikita was loved by everybody. She was a feisty, confident, popular young woman with no enemies. So what on earth had happened? Initially, police had their sights on Ryan, Nikita's boyfriend, who happened to be out that night partying and drinking with his cousin. The cousin he was out with was almost like Ryan's best friend. They were so close. When I tell you that they spent all of their time together, they really did. They even managed to get a job together. Ryan really looked up to his older cousin. His name was Carl Want, and after the tragic events unfolded, he even went over to Nikita's parents' house to hand them flowers and tell them that he was sorry for what had happened. But Nikita's mom felt an off feeling. There was something about Carl and his presence that just wasn't sitting right with Nikita's mom. She had a strong motherly instinct, a gut feeling that he knew something. He knew something about Nikita's death and he wasn't speaking up, but of course he completely denied this. After he left, Nikita's mom did not want the flowers that Carl bought and continued to feel this gut-wrenching feeling. Carl once spent all of his time at his cousin Ryan and Nikita's home. He would spend far too much time, and often Nikita would get very frustrated that he was always there. It was quite common for her to disappear to her mom's house for the evening and then come back once he'd left. He was a bad character who made her feel uncomfortable. He consistently talked about women in a really disgusting, derogatory way as well. He seemed to just always speak about how he was with women, the things that he did to women sexually. It was always just about sex and women, and Carl Want truly believed that he was the big man. Carl Want thought he was irresistible. He always used to take steroids, and as you can see here, he's quite a big guy. He also dabbled with cocaine, but Ryan had always seen the best in his cousin and failed to see these red flags. Police checked Ryan and Carl Want's alibi out. It was true, they were out at a party all night until the following morning when that fire had started, and they'd rushed down to Nikita's home with everybody else. But one problem, there was a gap in the timeline of events from the party that night. Carl Want had disappeared for a considerable amount of time to get cigarettes, and then he returned without them. Just as these gaps were starting to appear, Nikita's body was being forensically examined, and both Ryan and Carl's DNA was found inside Nikita. Carl Want was now the police's main suspect. It was starting to look as though Carl had essayed Nikita before killing her to stop her from talking, and then proceeding to burn down the house too, to destroy evidence. And the police were bang on the money. This twisted, evil excuse for a man had stabbed at her pregnant belly, killing her baby. But for what? Why? This was his best friend and cousin's Ryan's partner, his child, his whole world. Well, the motive was quite simply jealousy. Carl was older than the couple. He could see how well they were doing, how Ryan had his life coming together with his beautiful partner Nikita, a baby on the way, a little flat. He couldn't stand what the couple had, and he always had wanted Nikita. He would fantasize about her and even stole her phone once. Much to Nikita's disgust, to look through private pictures that she'd sent to Ryan, Carl's anger and jealousy was bubbling away for a very long time, and that night at the party he was being ignored by almost all of the women, probably because they could see him for what he really was. He was angry about this. It dented his ego. He wanted sex, and he knew Nikita was alone and vulnerable as he left that party. Carl tried to say that the DNA was there because of a consensual threesome that he'd had with Ryan and Nikita, but as he spat out lie after lie, he was breaking his cousin Ryan's heart. Ryan knew the truth, and he knew that there was only one reason Carl Want's DNA would be inside of Nikita, because he was was a rapist and because he was guilty of this horrific crime. A whole family was destroyed because of this man's selfish, sick desires. Carl Want was jailed for life with a minimum tariff of 35 years. And as the jury delivered the guilty verdict, Carl Want simply yawned. He had no remorse, clearly. My heart goes out to Ryan and Nikita's family, who had to visit the grandchild for the first time in a mortuary. So heartbreaking. Rest in peace to both the girls.